Hi everyone, welcome to my very first YouTube video. Oh my goodness. I am Sasha Creates. You probably see a lot of my artwork on Instagram, and I also sell a lot of it in my Etsy shop. And I have been wanting to start a YouTube channel for a very long time. I've just been putting it off because I'm very nervous on camera. You may never see my face. No. As I get more comfortable, you may see me from time to time, but mostly you're gonna see my hands. So today I thought it would be a good idea to kind of start out introducing some of my supplies that I use to create my journal spreads and some of my art, because I get so many questions on Instagram about what I use, and I thought this would answer some questions and also give you kind of an overview of what my channel will be like. So let's get to it. First, my sketchbook. This is the book that I use all of the time for all my daily spreads, my planner, my bujo. Everyone asks me about this because I put a lot of watercolor in this, and the paper holds up really well to the watercolor. So I thought that it would be important to show you this. It's an Artist Loft brand, which is carried by Michaels, and it comes in a 2-pack. So there's 2 of these, and I think it's like $5.99. It's really inexpensive. And the paper itself is pretty sturdy. It's like sketch paper, but it's a little bit sturdier. So when I do my spreads, I end up putting a lot of water on here and watercolor. And the paper, yes, it does crinkle, but I really like that feeling. And if you don't like that feeling, then you probably would want something a little more sturdier, like a mixed media paper or a watercolor paper. Next, I use a combination sometimes of liquid watercolor and regular watercolor. This liquid watercolor is by Ecoline, and this gray, this is a cold gray, and this is a warm gray. These are 2 of my favorite liquid watercolor grays that I like to use. This is a liquid watercolor by Dr. P.H. Martin's. It's Payne's Gray. You probably see me use this most often. This color is amazing, to say the least. And this is an Indigo by Ecoline as well that I like to use. It's a deeper blue that I really love. I also use, this is an ink, and it's a bleed proof white, and I use it for my clouds and my stars. When you put it on, it's more like a watercolor, but it will dry permanent. You won't be able to add color, or I'm sorry, add water and rework it. Once it's dry, it's dry. And this is my watercolor palette. This is my absolute favorite thing to look at. I love watercolor. And some of these have a smell. It's like, I don't know, it's like dreamy. Some of these are homemade and they smell like, I don't even know, like coconut and vanilla. They're lovely. I love how they smell. Most of these watercolors are Daniel Smith. That's primarily what I use. Some of these other ones are homemade watercolors. I love this store, I love this lady that makes these watercolors. She has an Etsy shop and she is on Instagram, and her name is Designs by Rachel Beth. And I loved her watercolors from the day I started using them. So I have a couple palettes that are hers. And I just recently purchased a couple watercolors from Aloha Watercolors. This Galaxy purple color is so yummy. And this gray seal color is very beautiful as well. I believe I've purchased one from another shop called Dots and Dust. This blue color, it's very pretty. So basically this whole palette is made up of colors that I love to use all the time. And I took tubes of paint like this and just put them in half pans, and then I was able to make my own palette. And I have a lot of Daniel Smith, as you can see. I have this whole jar full. They're expensive, but worth it. And these 4 colors I actually sell as half pans in my Etsy shop as the Perfect Moon palette. So those are my favorites, some of my favorites. Next, this thing. This is, the brand is Helix. This is a round circle maker. I use this tool all the time, and I get so many people that ask me about this tool and where I've gotten it. I got this particular tool from Hobby Lobby in their drafting section. I don't know, like a couple months ago. And you can make all these different size circles, and you can put your pencil in here and draw around and make these size circles. So this is a 1-inch circle. You can make a 2-inch circle. You can trace the whole thing for, I guess, would be a 3-inch circle maybe. So I use this all of the time, and it's really easy. It slides around. You can make little circles. This is a great tool. I also use this, which I got at Michael's as well, and there are all these different size circles, and then there's also additional shapes and a straight edge that you can use too. And I use this one to make circles too. These are obviously bigger circles, so these come in handy if you love to draw circles and moons as much as I do. Pens. Okay, pens. These are my 2 favorite white pens. This one is a little bit thicker. The tip is actually a little bit thicker, and the ink comes out a little bit gloppier. Not gloppy, but it comes out more comes out. And this one is a thinner one. These are both Uniball Signo pens. I believe I've gotten them on Amazon. This gold pen. Okay, so I've been using this one a lot lately, and I've had so many questions about it. It's just a Sakura Jelly Roll metallic gold pen. You can get them at Michael's, you can get them at Hobby Lobby, you can get them on Amazon. I mean, just about everywhere you can get a Jelly Roll pen. And this is what I use to make my gold circles and stars and embellishments on my journal pages. And this is a silver Pentel Sparkle Pop pen. I use this for all of my silver. These are amazing. I go through these like crazy. I have a whole box full of these actually. I bought off of Amazon. And then this is a black Pilot G-Tech C4 pen. I particularly like this because it's very thin. The tip is very thin. And I use it to write in my journal a lot, like quotes, or if I want to make a little note about something or my tasks for the day, I use this pen. So this used to be full. This is my little ephemera tin that I tote around in my backpack. And this used to be full. Like, I took all of the ephemera out because I wanted to organize and be a little more efficient because I had this full of things, just random things thrown in there. And then I had this full, I had actually 3 of these full of things, and I got sick of it because I couldn't find things were getting lost. So I actually took all the ephemera out of here and I put it in this box. I don't know if you can see this, but I put it in this box that I made with dividers and little folders that I can pull out that has all of my stuff. And I've kind of organized it, stickers and vellum and journal pages and journal kits and whatnot. So I'm hoping that I will be able to find my stuff a little bit better and then just use this as I need to if I want to pick out some ephemera to take with me if I'm going to do some journaling like at lunch time when I'm at work, or if I'm going somewhere over the weekend or something. So I love tins. you might have noticed I love tins. So that's that. Next, I keep 2 separate water dishes. I put all my light colors in one, and then I put my dark colors in another. And what I mean is, like, if I'm painting, you know, a dark color and then I need to rinse my brush off, I designate one of the water dishes for all my dark colors and then one for all my light colors. And then I like to keep this little thing handy to fill up my water, or if I need to add a little more water. If it gets too diluted with color, then I can put more water in there. This dish I got at Target. These dishes come in all like shapes and sizes, and they're like $1.99, and I love the size of it. I like that it's just white. And then of course mason jars, everyone knows where mason jars are or has mason jars, but I like to use these too. And also I like to use these little dishes. I got these, this was a 4-pack. I got these at TJ Maxx for like, I don't know, $5 or something. And they're just like porcelain little dishes. These were probably for like soy sauce or hors d'oeuvres or something, but they're porcelain. And so what I like to do is put my watercolor in here and mix up colors if I need to, and then I can always let this color like set overnight if I want, if I'm done. And then the next day, if I want to use more of that color, I can just add a little water and mix it around and use it again. And these are dishwasher safe. You can put them in the dishwasher, you can just wash them out. This is what I use for purple, obviously. And then this one I usually use for blue, but I don't have blue in there right now. So next are my paintbrushes. I've had a few questions actually about paintbrushes, like which ones do I recommend, which ones do I use, and I'm not a paintbrush snob. Like, I find it hard to spend more than a couple dollars on a paintbrush. I am definitely not going to spend hundreds of dollars on a paintbrush. And in fact, I got all of these, and there might be one more that I'm missing, but I got all of these in a pack on Amazon for like $12 or something. And the reason why I like these is because they're like, I don't know if they're like metal or they feel plasticky, but they're just, they look like metal maybe. But I like the plastic, this part of the brush to be plastic, because when they're wood, and if you put them in your water and say you leave it in your water for a while, the wood starts to crack, and then the paint that's on the wood, it starts to flake off, and it's so annoying. Like, I've had so many paintbrushes that I've had to wrap with duct tape so that they stay together. But these, being plastic or whatever they are, they're more durable. They don't break and crack. This brush I use all of the time. This is a great brush for doing like a lot of water putting a lot of water down and then putting color in the water. This is a great little brush. So I had some difficulty with my audio settings, and with the second half of the video I wanted to show you how to do the backgrounds that I do and everybody seems to love. Here I am just putting down some watercolor in my journal and using the Dr. P.H. Martin's Payne's Gray liquid watercolor. And a little bit goes a long way, as you can see. So you want to start out with just a little bit. Um, and then I like to put water down on my page and then dab the color into the water. And I love how it granulates and spreads out there. It looks so pretty and it's very relaxing. You want to be careful not to get it in the creases of your journal because it can weaken the thread or the way it's bound. So I try to keep as much out of the crease of the journal as possible. And if you don't have a whole lot of time, you can hit it with a heat gun and dry your background. I do dry both the front and the back of my pages just to make sure. You could add another layer of paint to this and it would become darker, but I actually left mine the way it was because I like the granulation in there. Now I'm just going in with my bleed proof white and I'm going to make some stars, and I'm also going to do clouds in a minute. And I take some of my white paint and I mix it with a little water right in the cap. You probably shouldn't do that, but I do. And I'm just taking another brush and tapping my paintbrush that has the color on it against the other brush to kind of make a splatter effect. And the smaller the brush here, the better. You'll get smaller stars. If you use a big brush, it's gonna like glob on the paint. Now I'm about to paint clouds, and I like to do it at a diagonal across the page. I think it makes an interesting composition, and then it leaves room at the top to paint the moon if that's what you choose to do. And I'm just kind of painting some freehand clouds, nothing super formal. I'm just basically scribbling in these clouds here. And this is a first layer, so I'll go in a little bit and kind of define the clouds a little bit more, but I am just putting down like almost a wash. So I'm mixing a lot of water with the white paint to put the clouds on. And then just kind of layering them on top of each other. Nothing formal, pretty simple. And I like to leave a little transparency with the clouds. I like to make them a little bit whiter at the top and then they kind of fade out to a transparent white as you get towards the bottom of the cloud. And this is where I go in and just take a little more white and define the cloud a little bit more. So I'm putting a lot more white on the top, and that kind of shows a highlight. So as if the moon was at the top left, shining down on the clouds, it would leave a highlight at the very top of them. And there's really no wrong or right way to do this, honestly. It's just a matter of putting your clouds down however it comes out of your paintbrush, really. That's why I love watercolor. It's so forgiving. There's no right or wrong. it turns out no matter what. And with watercolor, you can always rework things and fix things if you need to. So I'm just drawing the moon. I'm using my little circle maker tool, and I'm going to paint like a pretty transparent moon. So you know how we typically see the moon as, having some dark spots in it? Where the dark spots are, I'm going to paint white so it looks kind of transparent. And again, just making white look transparent is really just adding water to it and almost using the white as a wash as opposed to a full pigmented white color. And that's another great thing about the moon. You can really paint it how you want to, and it doesn't have to be perfect or exact. It can almost be just an impression. And it turns out. So here I'm using my tool again that you all like so much, and I'm just drawing some half circles around my piece with my gold Jelly Roll pen. And there is no rhyme or reason to this. You just put the tool down and draw around it, making half circles all around your drawing. And to me, these circles represent like the solar system and the cycles that the moon goes into, or the cycle that all the planets orbit around the sun. And then I add in all the little planets. When I was growing up, Pluto was a planet, and now apparently it's not, but I still like to include it. And I like to kind of doodle around the moon, giving it some lines and almost rays that come out of it, even though I know the moon doesn't actually shine. But thank you so much for joining me on my first YouTube video. I hope you loved it. There will be more to come. If you like what you saw, give me a comment, like, and subscribe.